I'm Houston Hedinger, founder and CEO of Wikisway, and we've built a powerful new way to explore information online. And this is extremely important because when you look at information on the web, and we all do, we're all searching constantly, it's not half as useful as it needs to be. And more importantly, it's not pretty and it's not fun. So we're entrepreneurs, we spend a lot of time on Crunchbase, and I'm just gonna talk really loud. And our Crunchbase research typically looks like this. We search for something or someone we're interested in, let's say Marissa Mayer. Search for her, cruise through here, probably don't take any time to actually read the bio. I see some links, I click, right-click, open a new window. Go to Stanford. Okay, that's off of Crunchbase, actually. But I'd stay on Crunchbase, go to another company's profile, I cruise down, I look at who's involved there, I click through, I open up another Crunchbase profile, and I typically repeat this process for 20 to 30 minutes. But all this information, actually, when you contextualize it, when you visualize it, you can glean meaning from it that you couldn't get any other way. So on Wikisway, I see Marissa Mayer, but I see her, actually I can just click on her down here. I actually see her in context of her connections. So I see that Marissa obviously was employed by Google. And I can check that when I click on the link, I actually see the relationship she had. And on the left-hand side over here, it shows up that she was employed by Google. But I want to see what are some of these deeper relationships she has with these companies. So maybe I click on one of the links over here and I see that she's an investor in Ubeam. And when I open that up, I want to look at the teams there, which you can't see very well on a big screen, but you can see it on your computer, I promise. When I open up Minted, which is another company she's invested in, you can look at the founders there, and then you start to open these up and you see connections. So it looks like, Ninyang Wang was also employed by Google. And then if I open up, let's say, Brady Wood's network, I'd see that Brady Wood was employed by Yahoo. So it looks like Marissa might have a bias towards Yahoo. So we've built our beta platform on top of Crunchbase because we wanted to create a tool that was interesting and useful to the startup community. But most information online is like this. If you look at movie content or if you look at sports content, you explore people in context of their relationships. And we haven't just built a really sweet presentation layer for information. We've actually built a pretty powerful data model for the web. So if I want to search across our data set, I can search, how is Marissa Mayer, let's say, connected to me, for example, if I'm in Crunchbase. Well, that's not a very close connection, but if I wanted to connect with her, I might talk to my co-founder, Kate, about talking to Apple, and then about talking to Shubho Chatterjee, and then Square. Obviously, if I get my feet in the door at Square, I can then talk to Marissa. But this works for anything in our data set. And obviously, as we add more and more data, and as we customize the search around certain things that would be high value for recruiters and salespeople, we believe that this is a key tool in the future of really the data model and information model for the web. So this is our beta platform, and I'll just demo some more features. Let's go to Google's graph. Obviously, a lot more connections. And slightly, if we're a visualization company trying to make information more accessible, this probably wasn't the way to do it. So oftentimes when you're on Google's graph, you actually might want to narrow down your search. So I know that maybe there's something in here that starts with an NO, and then I zoom in, I see, okay, there's the company I was looking for, Aquan Information Technologies. I click on that company, and then I see their profile up here in the top left. I can open that profile, and then I can read about that company or explore any links that exist there. You can filter based on links, labels, or you can toggle them, and then you can filter based on companies, service providers, people, or anything in the Crunchbase data set. Now, our plan was, as of 2 weeks ago, to scale up with consumer-oriented content, so movies, sports. That's probably not the best business model initially for us, so we're actually pivoting slightly. We're going to roll out our API so that will deploy this presentation layer to anyone that has data that they want to display in this way as a graph. And then we're rolling out our second tier of solutions, which are hosted data platforms. And that gives you the advanced search. And we can visualize anything. It might be people, network data, kind of like Crunchbase, or it might be bioinformatics data and visualizing how proteins interact in a cell. The potential for this technology is really limitless, and so we're being really selective in who our initial high-value customers are that are going to allow us to really get a good beachhead. So I think with that, oh, I've forgotten so many things. What have I forgotten? Facebook. Okay, right, of course. If you want to get people's attention, you build something on top of Facebook because we're all so egocentric. So if you go to wikisway.com, you can log in with your Facebook account, and then you can visualize your Facebook network. So this is actually Kate's. When she leaves her Facebook logged in on my computer, I like to browse her network here.
Elbows come out wide.
But when I click on, yeah, nothing's off limits in the Wikisway office. So I see here that we've actually created an algorithm that recognizes communities in these networks. So the communities here are color-coded. So if you're to log in with your own network, you'd probably recognize, oh, these are my friends from high school, these are my friends from college, here's my friends from work. So that's kind of a cool thing. And then you can just click around. And really what we could do with this visualization alone is pretty limitless. But like I said, we're really going for an initial monetization strategy with this technology versus trying to build graph search better than Facebook's going to build it. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
So by deciding not to go necessarily consumer, sport, movie, music with this, which I think would be super cool, but is this something that you envision somebody like a LinkedIn just kind of rolling over into their data set and Facebook rolling over and you guys, you know, powered by Wikisway, or to help get the brand out there? What's the plan really with the rollout strategy?
Yeah, that's the plan. So from a sales standpoint, we've broken down our sales targets into really like high value targets like LinkedIn, IMDb, Facebook, and then we've also have a number of like proof of concept customers that would be a little bit larger. But yeah, I think we're going to really aggressively target these really key customers and see how far we get. We only need one of them at first, and because it's providing so much added value to their users and to their products, but they don't want to build it themselves yet. So that's kind of our initial strategy, is to get at least one or two of those proof of concept customers, and then at least one of those really high value customers.
And is that something that they'll license from you guys, and then you'll kind of monetize additional customers as they come on, or are you going to be making money from the get-go?
Yeah, they'll license it from us. So it'll be available via SaaS-based API, and we might, yeah, we're still playing with the model behind it. Maybe it's API limits, maybe it's something a little bit more robust, maybe it's based on time, you know, just by the month, something like that.
Houston, it's good to see you. Full disclosure, I've talked with Wikisway some about their business. It's very interesting to see how you've evolved and the way your market's shifted. I'm curious, have you guys talked about ways that you might measure different strengths of connections and compare somebody who's, you know, in the Crunchbase model, for example, somebody who's worked together with versus somebody who's served on the same committee or something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Once we structure the data, like we have, so structuring the data is really like the hard work. You can query the data in all sorts of ways. So who has worked at Google that Marissa Mayer has also invested in? I showed you kind of a roundabout way to get there by clicking, but that would be a query we can write pretty easily. You know, what CEOs have also invested in startups in the last 6 months? Things like that you can't get without structured data. Absolutely.
So you just said query. So did you create your own query language for this, or what's the technology that you're using to kind of enable that kind of search?
Yes, so we are one of the few companies that I think is using a graph database model to generate front-end search technology. So we query against a graph database, and yes, some of it's proprietary. The queries that we've written are proprietary, but the database itself, obviously, we haven't had time to build that.
Selena's not going to follow up on the database question. No.
You already said proprietary.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Safe word.
It in to
Cool. Thank you, guys.